Hi everyone, good morning. I hope everybody had an amazing week. I'm here today with GJ Steinhauser, our mortgage master. How are you doing?
I'm great. Good morning.
Good morning. So we have a pretty big topic today to talk about, and there's been a lot going on in the news about, are we on a housing bubble market or not? So that's the big question. And I think we're going to try to do a big comparison with 2008 event and see, are we really in it? What are some things that might be similar? What are some things that might be very different? And we're going to break it down to maybe clarify that information a little bit more for people that are in a question mark. So do you want to get us started?
Yeah, I mean, flat out, is there a housing bubble? I think there is, but a bubble could mean different things to different people. We definitely are in a housing crisis right now because there's a shortage of homes.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why rents are increasing so much, because there's not a plethora of houses for renters to move up to. So there is a housing bubble, but it affects different part of the housing market in different ways.
So we have a different kind of bubble. That's really what it comes down to.
I mean, there was a recent report in the news recently last week that foreclosures are up 125% from last year. Well, last year you weren't allowed to foreclose because there was a moratorium on foreclosures. So of course it's going to be up, but we're not seeing the foreclosure crisis and people losing their homes like we did in 2008 and 2009.
Not even close. Yeah.
The problems and the challenges and the bubbles that are bursting right now are shortage, supply. There's a supply that's still historically low. Rates are above average. People got used to 3% and 4% interest rates for a 10-year period, so rates are above average.
Yeah, let's just break it down on that too. Like on the interest rate portion, there's a lot of talk on that oh my gosh, interest rates are so high. No, again, people got spoiled with that 3% and 4% that we saw over COVID. But if you go back to just 2018, 19, we were seeing 4.5 to 5.5 at that time. And that was normal. That was good. So we're back there. Maybe we're at one point above that now on average. And we might see a slight increases too. Because, inflation's now just starting to we'll talk more about inflation too and how that impacts. But the interest rate is not really high in comparison to what has been in the past. I mean, just when it was at the 80s, we had a 17.5 interest rate at some point. So this is nothing.
Well, it is something, and it does affect the buyer's ability to buy.
Ability to buy. The buying power goes down,
affordability and those things, but we can talk about some ways to negotiate interest rates a little bit later. But part of the bubble is builders. The cost of materials is still sky high. Yeah. So for them to build houses and be profitable, they have to start at a very high price point that is unattainable for some first-time home buyers.
Yeah, so very true.
Yeah, and realtors and lenders, everybody involved in housing is feeling the bubble right now. Mm-hmm. We have just the way buyers and sellers left the market when things got rough last year. We're seeing realtors and lenders and builders also leave the market because it's not easy to be in real estate right now. It's very challenging.
No, unless you have built a solid foundation or you are working with a company that really supports you, we're already seeing a decline, even on my industry, on real estate agents. We already saw a decline. Like a lot of people didn't even renew their license for this year. So we already saw a big drop on, because the past 2 years we're so busy with clients. It was a tough market, but you could be working with multiple people during that time because there was so many buyers, and agents were coming in, like a surge of agents were coming into the industry because it was easy to just sell a house. And now we're going back to what it used to be, where you have to hustle. You have to actually, work on behalf of your client more than you used to. And you're seeing that decline in the industry. And that goes with a lot of other industries, like you mentioned, you're on your side, on the lending side, inspectors are struggling too, or have been struggling in the past 2 years, and a lot of them had to get out of the industry. So it is definitely, it's a housing crisis, but it's not the same as 2008 and the bubble that people talk about. They are really thinking of like, oh, the bubble of 2008, but there's really major differences, and maybe we can break it down, those differences, so people understand that whatever is happening now, it's not something we know what to expect because it's new, and it probably won't be the same outcome that we saw for 2008 because of those major differences. Starting with the financing side, like how easy was it to get approved before? Tell us about that.
I have a saying that if you could fog up a bathroom mirror, you could get a mortgage back in 2006, 2007. No stated income, stated assets, no income, no job. I mean, if you had a pulse, you could get a house, and the cost to build was dramatically lower.
Yeah.
There was a large portion of buyers in that 30 to 35 year old range, which are prime home buying years.
Yeah.
So they just kept building. It was a rapid onslaught of building and building and building, and there was an excess of supply. Yeah, it was the opposite of what we have right now. We had too much supply, so you could buy very low, but the loans were tricky. The loans were complicated. They were bad loans for people, and when property values leveled off and interest rates were adjustable and started increasing, people couldn't afford their payments. That's the biggest difference.
And that was one of the biggest difference too. Like we'll talk about the adjustable rates. A lot of people don't know that, or don't know what that means. Like nowadays, the most common way of buying a home is with a fixed rate, meaning you're gonna be the same rate from day 1 to day 30, to year 30, right? But back then, the financing process was so lax, so like easy to get, and they were offering people a 1% interest rate to begin with. But that just went up and up by the years, and because it was adjustable. So by year 5, they couldn't afford their monthly payments anymore, and that was when we saw that huge surge of, short sales, foreclosures, everything you can imagine. And then the housing crisis happened. Lots of people losing their jobs, and so that's the bubble that we talk about for 2008, which again, that's not what's happening now. Our today's standards are much, much more strict for a buyer to qualify. We have fixed interest rates, even if they are a little higher, but at least they know what to expect, right?
Yeah, it's safety, and your payment's not going to go up. The other major difference is we didn't have rapid inflation back then, and the interest rates run parallel to inflation, and the Fed over the last 6 months or year has been talking about how to curb inflation and taking the necessary steps. We're starting to see it come down. So if you want to expand a little bit on that.
Yeah, so the federal government actually was, surging into the industry, and the inflation started to go up, of course, to kind of stabilize the market. That's their goal, but interest rates really follow along with inflation. Like they really respond to it, and they react in a delayed manner as well. So if inflation is going up, a couple months behind, that interest rate's going to be tagging along as well and going up as well. Now that we're seeing that inflation is stabilizing, they're no longer kind of going much higher than they were, we should be expecting that interest rates are going to respond too, but again, in a delayed manner. So the hopes is by the end of this year, we're going to see that interest rates may be going slightly lower than we're seeing now, but that's hard to predict, right? Because again, we never know what to expect. There's other factors that could impact that as well.
We do have some data that helps us kind of speculate and predict where things are going to go. I was lucky enough this week to be on a Zoom call with Barry Habib. He's one of the industry leaders for prediction in real estate and mortgage rates. And he went into a little bit more detail regarding inflation on how it doesn't really work month to month. It works off a 12-month cycle. So when we roll from December into January, December from 2022 drops off the inflation chart. There's some really key numbers for inflation in April and May and June of this year that are high numbers.
Okay.
When we roll those numbers off the 12-month average, we're really going to start to see the residual effects of inflation dropping over a period of time. And we expect interest rates to drop significantly in the second half of the year.
Yes, and that's exciting news for anybody out there. But let's talk about waiting, because knowing that information, and also the news are probably going to soon catch up and start telling people that information as well, and then you're going to see a huge amount of buyers waiting for that to happen. So let's break it down on what that could mean potentially for a buyer if they are just on the waiting game.
Yeah, the inflation is not going to fix the supply. Okay, the supply is what it is. It's going to take a long period of time for supply to come back, because we have an overabundance of home buyers in that age group right now, 30 to 35. So the number of houses on the market, obviously it's going to go up more in the spring and the summer. It always does.
It's seasonal,
But we're going to see a multiplicity effect of buyers flooding the market. Right now, if you're shopping, there may be 1, 2, 3 offers on a house if it's priced right. You may be the only offer. What's going to happen the second half of this year is, when you have the open house and 50 people come through, and Monday night you're putting 20 offers on the kitchen table, and unfortunately government programs like FHA, VA, USDA, those are going to be the first ones to get pulled. And then they're going to negotiate highest and best and cash, and 20,000, 50,000 over asking, no inspections. That's what's going to happen this year if you wait. That's the cost of waiting. Yeah, you're going to have the ability to get a lower interest rate, but the competition is going to be tremendous.
Yeah. So it's not necessarily worth it sometimes to wait for that, right? There's different remedies that we can pursue in regards of the high interest rate. And we always mention about the refinance option, but there's of course a price associated to that that a lot of people maybe don't want to go for. But if the change is substantial, it's actually worth it. You actually saving more for the refinance than you would if you continue to pay whatever interest rate you currently have. And talking to George would be your best option, because he can analyze to you and make sure, okay, is this the right time to refinance your home? Is it worth financially to do it? And he will help you to understand that when the time comes as well. But waiting, there's a time on the waiting period, right? So if you wait, the prices continue to go up on the houses. So maybe that 0.5% interest rate might in the end not make that much of a difference, because the prices of the houses also are going up. So there is a cost in waiting. Right. And that's for any time in history, right? There is a cost of waiting that people need to consider when they are trying to wait. And then, of course, the whole competition situation that you're probably going to be finding yourself when those interest rates drop again.
Yeah. And because interest rates have increased and a lot of buyers have left the market, what we're seeing on the listing side is days on market are up and price reductions are up. So days on market being up and price reduction up, that doesn't happen in this market. It hasn't happened in like 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah.
Those are prime opportunities for buyers to be able to negotiate with the seller.
Yeah.
There's never been a better time for a buyer to negotiate on price, negotiate on seller's assist, negotiate on inspection, and we can help you with the rate. If you can get some seller assist, we can use that seller assist to buy down the rate. So instead of a rate in the 6s, for the first year, you could have a rate in the 4s. That could save you $300, $400, $500 a month on your payment for the first year.
Which is huge.
Yeah, and you don't have to wait for rates to come down. You get the benefit right away.
Exactly. And we are seeing, like, both of us, we have a couple clients that actually are benefiting of entering the market right now because of the, I'm not going to say there's no competition, but there is definitely less competition, especially in certain markets. Certain markets are pocket markets, so they're always going to be competitive, but there are more opportunities now for buyers to obtain better terms and negotiate price and get seller's assistance. towards their closing costs. And we're seeing that right now. I'm not sure how long that's going to last because, we barely have 1.5 months of inventory in multiple areas of Central PA. So I don't know what to expect exactly. I mean, I kind of see what's coming for spring. But I'm just hoping that people can take advantage as soon as possible and not be deceived with the idea of waiting for the interest rate to come down, because that could potentially be detrimental to their ability to purchase if they do require, any sort of assistance to purchase.
Yeah, if you're a buyer who was in the market last year and you dropped out because of the competition and the interest rates, now's the time to get back in. Give us a call. We can go over the options that are available to you. And the number one thing you can do is do all of your homework up front. Send in all the supporting docs so we can do a full underwrite on your file. Make a strong offer because there's still a little bit of competition, like you said. So the more prepared you can be in making a stronger offer is going to help you win right now when there's less competition.
Yeah. And George, I know you have a special program that can actually help buyers have a stronger offer up front. Can you just give us more detail on that?
Yeah, we do a full underwrite on the file. So normally when you get under contract, one of the contract dates about halfway through the process is you're required to provide a loan commitment, meaning the underwriter has reviewed the file, and if you do this, and this, you're able to lend. We do that all up front. We clear all the buyer conditions. So really the only thing we need is title work and an appraisal, and we can close. If you do all that homework up front, you're able to offer the seller a cash guarantee that they're going to get their money for their house. If something worst case scenario were to happen where the buyer lost their job or had medical expenses and they had to dip into their funds, credit score dropped, all those acts of God, worst case scenarios that can blow up a deal right at the very end.
And they happen.
We will come in and give the seller cash for the house, whatever the appraised value was, or give them $10,000 and they can put the house back on the market. So the number one thing a seller really wants to know when they accept your pre-approval and accept your offer, is it going to close? Yeah. So if you do all that homework up front, we have the ability to make a cash guarantee to the seller that regardless of what happens, they're going to get their money. Also, if that does happen, both of the realtors get their commission. It's just like a regular transaction, and our company owns the house.
Yeah, exactly. Which is also a good thing for the realtors that are listening in to this. Just keep that in mind. It's not just to protect your client and give them a better chance to get their offer accepted, but it also is a security for you, for your commission, for the hard work you put into getting that client under contract. So it gives you that little advantage. Hey, I know that if I accepted this offer from this client, with George, we're gonna close no matter what, and everybody should be happy. And if for some reason we don't close and the seller just takes the money and goes back to the market, at least they're happy, right? They're happy. They got something out of it. So
we've done hundreds of these advanced approvals with the seller cash guarantee. You know how many times we've had to pay for a house cash? Zero. These loans close.
Yeah, and that's another good thing, that you don't have to use that, but you have that as an opportunity in case it's needed. But just shows that you guys do your homework. Let's put it that way. Really, really nicely done. So we know for sure that buyer can qualify, and we also educate our clients throughout the process to avoid any of those potential hiccups that could, terminate their ability to purchase.
Right. One more benefit we're offering right now is, so say you get under contract, but it's full price, you're not able to get seller's assist, and you have to get an interest rate that's less favorable than you wanted. Mm-hmm. You're going to have the opportunity to refinance. Okay, interest rates are going to come down. After every economic trend where there's been a recession and inflation like this, it's been followed by lower interest rates. Our company, if you buy a house in 2023 and you refinance within 12 months, we're going to pay the lender fees for you. So we're going to keep the costs down on your refinance because we're not just dumping a large monthly payment with a large interest rate on you and then goodbye. We understand this is an investment, and we want to help you get in the best possible place. So nobody that I'm aware of right now is waiving their lender fees on refinance for existing clients.
Yeah, not that I've heard either. So that is a huge point to kind of, point it out to everybody listening here. If you are, on the verge of like buying or not buying, and concerned that if you do have to refinance, it's going to be costly, there you go. So that takes that away already. So just keep that in mind moving forward.
One more thing I want to touch on is in real estate, everybody always wants to label everything. What kind of market are we in? Are we in a buyer's market? Are we in a seller's market?
Yeah.
I'm telling people right now that the beginning of this year, like the first half of this year, I'm calling this the professionals market, because you really need to have people on your side involved helping you through the transaction that know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Now more than ever, you need to be able to negotiate with thought and wisdom and expertise and caring for your clients. Having that professionalism, having that experience, having that reputation, that could be the difference in getting your offer accepted or not.
Very true.
People want to work with people that they've worked with in the past. Going at this by yourself, or trying to sell your house by yourself, or buy a house by yourself, or not looking for the house before you get pre-approved, those are all the things that are going to lead to heartbreak and not success in the first 6 months of this year.
Yeah, and it's very true. This is a tricky market. It's like you said, it's hard to label. And having support is huge, and having a good team working on your behalf, being the lender and the realtor, the insurance broker. I mean, there's so many people that get involved, the title company. So having a good team working for you makes a huge difference. And it does really not cost you, anything on the buying end. You're going to need a lender to finance anyway. Why not have someone that has your back and understand the market and has, options that can assist you now and later, in case, like you said, to refinance and, save you some money on that portion. So it is huge. And this is a tricky market. Overall, yes, this is still a seller's market if you want to label it, but it is a transition market. So you do have to have someone that understands the market, that there's some of the areas you're looking for. And you hit the nail there on their reputation and relationships, because more than ever, realtors want to work with realtors they know they can get the deal done. They can go to the closing table and make it happen. When a realtor is, maybe not experienced enough, or not responsive, or not on top of things, sometimes we actually intentionally not kind of go for that offer because we know that reputation. So really having the right people on your back is huge. And not being represented is actually a disservice to yourself. You have to have representation, someone that can be on your side, making sure they're explaining the process and actually looking out for your best interests.
I want to end with a quote here. If you were in the home buying market last year and you're disappointed because you weren't able to buy a house and you're nervous about restarting the process, I want to leave you with this. Don't be upset with the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do. You have to do your homework up front in the home buying process. You just have to. I know it's fun to go out and look for the house, but if you don't do your full pre-approval and full underwrite up front, you're just setting yourself up for a hard time. I tell people all the time, the hardest part of this process is everything that happens up front.
Yeah.
Getting under contract. After we get under contract, it's easy. There's very little work for you to do.
Yeah, very little. And it's so true. So many people want to go on Zillow and start looking at properties. And then you're like, oh, no, I'll get an approval when I find the house. Guess what? By the time you get approved, the house is gone. So please, I just say this, I've been thinking multiple times throughout the day to different people. You have to get yourself pre-approved first, and then you start looking for homes, because your pre-approval is going to determine the type of housing you're going to be qualified to purchase, where you should be looking at, the exact price range you qualify for, or maybe you qualify for more than what you want to spend, but at least you know what you're expecting, what your cost is going to be. Sometimes people's expectations are different than the actual numbers. They might think, I'm okay with this X amount, but then when they look at the monthly payment, they say, oh, actually I could go higher, or maybe no, I have to stay lower. So it's just so key to important to know these information before you get started. And also the whole point of being a more prepared buyer is if you have the underwritten approval and actually like a cash offer from George, you are going to get that property. If your chances are much higher to get your offer accepted. So just keep that in mind when you decide to move forward, because your experiences from the past, it's most likely because you were not prepared, like you mentioned. So
yeah, it's tough. It's not an easy market for sure, but the better people you have helping you along the way, the more you're going to increase your chances for success.
Awesome. So just to end this, then we started with, are we in a housing bubble? So what would you say then? What would be the final response to that?
Define bubble.
Define bubble.
Yeah, define bubble means something different for everybody. There are people out there that some of their home prices have gone down, interest rates have gone up, construction costs have gone up. So are we going to see a housing market crash? No. But there's definitely it's definitely a roller coaster. There's some ups and downs, and there's some bubbles that are bursting for everybody involved in the industry. It's tough. It's a tough market right now, and more than ever, you need the very best professional assistants to make your transactions close. That's really it.
That's really it. Yeah. So we're in a professional bubble.
Yeah, a professional bubble.
We need to label or the COVID bubble.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Oh my goodness. Well, George, thank you so much for staying with me here today and clarifying this big topic that's going out, for everybody out there. So I feel like there's no right or wrong answer, right, to this. But at least if you understand the waters that we're kind of walking around now, I think that is easier for people to have a better idea of what to do next.
I did want to mention one more thing. We talked about doing the homework and getting pre-approved up front.
Yeah.
When we do your pre-approval, we're really pre-approving you for a monthly payment. We're not saying, oh, you can buy a $200,000 house. You can buy a $400,000.
A lot of people think it's X amount. That's very true.
So the amount of your down payment, the interest rate, the associated property taxes, homeowners insurance, all those things go into your monthly payment. Yeah. And we want to make sure you have a monthly payment that you're comfortable with. So our pre-approval, you will be pre-approved for a certain purchase price range based upon your down payment and the property taxes and other property associated fees. But we really want to make sure that you have a monthly payment that you're comfortable with and work from there.
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing that out. There's a lot of misconception on that in regards of the monthly payments. My clients always think that, I can only buy up to X amount. But I'm like, no, it depends on taxes. It depends on if there's an HOA fee. If depending on the HOA fee, you could make it or break your monthly payment. So it really is all about the monthly payments and your interest rate that you cap for that time period, which we did mention this, but interest rates don't get locked into actually you are under contract there. So there's also a timing there that you're going to be looking for the best time to lock that in, right?
Right. When interest rates, we have a program called Lock, Shop, and Go, but that's a program for a different market. We were using that when interest rates were rising. We were locking people in to avoid those higher interest rates. Interest rates are trending down right now, or flat or down. So Lock, Shop, and Go is not the right timing for this market. So we're really floating the interest rate until they get under contract and locking through closing.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's good information. Well, thank you so much. Hope you have an amazing weekend. And guys, if you guys have any questions or if you feel like you're ready to get started in the home buying process, get started connecting with George first. So he can get you, fully pre-approved and potentially even get you fully underwritten as well. So we can have a really strong offer for when you do find the property that you want to be putting an offer in.
Yeah, if you're a home buyer and you could take one or two things away from this, now is the time to buy, and I have to be ready to make a strong offer.
Yeah, two points. Great, that's it. Yeah, thank you, George. Have a good one.
Nice chatting with you. Talk to you later.
Thank you so much. Talk to you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.